Few of the myths in insurance that I'd love to talk about is the most common used is I want to purchase full coverage. What is full coverage? There's no such policy that covers full coverage. It is just not something that's used. A lot of people throw it out there and they think it's a form of coverage. It's not. What full coverage is implying is that you have liability coverage, you have comprehensive coverage, and you have collision coverage. But full coverage is also implying that no matter how much damage that they are going to be covered or how much they're being sued, you are going to have coverage. There is just no policy out there that states you have full coverage. Remember, if you're telling your agent full coverage, you're really not saying much other than I want comp, collision, and liability, but that's not stating how much coverage, how much liability do you need. So myth number one is definitely full coverage. There's no such thing. Another myth that's commonly talked about is auto policies only cover me while I'm in the automobile that I insure. That is not true. Recently, I had a claim of a gentleman who was walking on a side road in a small town like Ellington, Stafford, Willington, where there's no sidewalks. My insured not only was walking, he was struck by a motorcyclist who was not only speeding, he was under the influence of alcohol, under the influence of narcotics, and had no driver's license, no insurance coverage. Both were killed in the accident. It was tragic. What ends up happening is our insured, who was walking, was sued. What covered that gentleman who was walking? Something called uninsured and underinsured motorists. Because the insured that struck him had no auto policy, no motorcycle insurance, the insured who was walking, his auto policy covered him under the uninsured and underinsured motorists, which ended up protecting not only his estate, but many of his assets. It paid out well over $1 million, which the family was very thankful that he had educated him into purchasing an umbrella because it covered the estate at his death. So please don't think auto insurance is just covering yourself at auto. Another myth is on your homeowner's policy. You think homeowners is only covering you at your place of home. Had a claim about 7-8 years ago of an insured whose son went to school, to the high school, and at high school, he was being bullied. This young man, eventually, after being bullied time in and time out, he got fed up one day and really gave a good licking to a kid who was bullying him. He ended up breaking that young man's collarbone on school premises. That homeowner's policy not only ended up covering the insured and his son through the fight, but it covered them because that gentleman went to school not with the intent to harm anybody. He just had enough at that time and ended up clocking the bully. He ended up doing harm to the bully. The insured's father's homeowners and mother's homeowners policy covered not only all the legal bills, but also the payout of that policy. I will tell you, these are myths that your homeowners is only covering you at home. That is why it's critical that your liability insurance be a minimum of $500,000. Highly recommend $1 million. If you look at your homeowner's policy and see $300,000, it's about $15 to $18 to increase it for the year. That's an annual increase from $300 to $500. From $500 to $1 million, you're probably looking at an additional $20. Very inexpensive way to carry that liability insurance to not only your home, but also, God forbid, something takes place off of premises and you have coverage.